Hi, Jenny here. Today we are going to make some Hello Dolly bars, also known as magic bars or 7-layer bars. Now nobody knows for sure how these bars got the name Hello Dolly, but theory has it that the recipe came out around 1960 and the Broadway musical Hello Dolly premiered in 1964. So the musical became so popular, and around that time the recipe got printed in women's magazines and the Betty Crocker cookbook, and on probably that magic ingredient, the Eagle brand condensed milk label. So on the back of labels, sometimes on cans, you see that they do print recipes. Right now they actually just have a little blurb saying go to our eaglebrand.com website for recipes. So they became popular around that same time, so they became known as Hello Dolly bars. So that's what we're going to make today. Let's get started. For this recipe we are going to need 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs, or 12 full-size graham crackers, 1 cup of chopped pecans, half a cup of butter that we will melt, 1 cup of some chocolate chips, plus some extras for sprinkling on top if you'd like, 1 cup of butterscotch chips, 1 bag, 5 ounces of shredded coconut, 1 can of sweetened condensed milk, and some coarse sea salt to sprinkle on top. Our first step is going to be to combine the graham crackers and the butter, and also just to make the crust a tad bit salty, we are going to take 1/4 cup from that 1 cup of pecans, and we're also going to add that to our crust. So put that in there, and then, like I said, you take 12 the full sheets of graham crackers and break those in half. If you have graham cracker crumbs, so you can use those. It's like 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs. I like to eat graham crackers as a snack, so I just have regular graham crackers around. So that way, otherwise I would have extra crumbs. And I just have to make another recipe, but I'm going to first chop these up a little bit and then we'll add that butter. So again, food processor, regular blade. Got a couple of them that don't want to break up. I don't know, will they break up with the butter? That should be alright. Take those couple big chunks out. We'll add our butter and mix it up again until it's well combined. Should make for a nice tasty crust. Okay, we'll scrape down our sides. Mix it just a tad bit more, although this looks pretty good already. That will be able to be patted down nicely for a nice crust that won't crumble. More. Excellent. All right. Now we'll get our pan. We are going to bake these in a 9x13 pan, and I've got some parchment paper inside to help coat it with that sweetened condensed milk. Sometimes it turns caramely and it can really stick to your pan, make it for hard cleanup. So if you put a piece of parchment paper in there, that will help with that. I went ahead and cut the sides, cut some of the extra so that it will fit nicely in here. And that way when it's cooked, you can also lift up on the sides and take it out of there to be able to cut the bars up. So we'll go ahead and get this graham cracker crust in here. And then either with your spatula, your fingers, the bottom of a cup, the bottom of a measuring cup, we want to pat this down so that it is a really compacted crust. That way it won't fall apart when you do cut them all apart for your bars. All right, well, let me try my fingers. Try to get this spread out. I've seen it where some people have cooked the graham cracker crust first, so that also might be an option if you try to make these. If your crust falls apart, then maybe is an option for the next time. I've made these once. I'm trying to think whether it was when I was a teenager. Probably not. Probably when I was here, when I was an adult. I know I've made these at least once. And I know they were really good. So when I had my butterscotch chips left over, it was like, hey, I know something I can make. I could use up those chips. So parchment paper comes in goofy sizes. Sometimes it's really long. I could have tried, I guess, put it sideways. Then you may not cover your sides depending on the size of your parchment paper. I know I have some too that come in just like sheets. It's supposed to go on like for your cookie sheet, maybe cookie sheet size, that you just pull it out and it's an actual sheet as opposed to coming in the rolls. But I usually like the rolls better because even the sheet size is like too big for my cookie sheets. It just doesn't fit right. So I like the rolls, but then again they're goofy if you're not doing it on if you're not doing it on an actual cookie sheet and you're trying to put these in your pan. It's just kind of goofy. Alright, this is making for a nice thin layer. Just spread out pretty nicely. Just with your hand too, you can kind of feel where some of the areas are thicker and where it's thinner, so where you want to spread it out a little more. I don't know about you. The other thing I thought of with thinking of the Hello Dolly bars is you think of Dolly Parton because, you know, she's Dolly. She's the most famous, one of the most famous Dollies, right? I know her husband just passed away, so that's been in the news and all that, so I feel for her. Condolences and prayers out to her. Help her get through this time in life. It's never an easy thing. Alright, once that's all done, I'm going to wash my hand and then we'll get to the other layers. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees and then we are going to make our layers on here. So we will go ahead and sprinkle the chocolate chips all evenly. Again, just knowing that as you are going to cut these up into bars, how you have your chips and all that sprinkled out, that's what's going to be in that section of a bar. So just try to make sure that everything is fairly evenly spread so you get each one of these. My oven's preheated. So you get each one of these ingredients in each of the bars that you end up cutting up. So just try to sprinkle them out evenly. As far as all the chips, also you can use whatever chips you have available. Sometimes people make these with peanut butter chips as opposed to the butterscotch chips. You can make them with white chips. You can do semi-sweet, obviously, dark chocolate, milk chocolate. I happen to have milk chocolate in the house. I know we had a coupon, I think, for either some free chocolate chips or kind of, I don't know if it was buy one. I don't think it was a buy one, get one. I know we usually get some coupons for free chocolate chips. I think they were out of semi-sweet, so we ended up getting milk chocolate, which there too I thought, well, if I'm baking with them, that's okay then. And I forgot to look up, I forgot what I made with the butterscotch chips. I think I made a cookie. And so I had the butterscotch chips left over, so I only used half that package. So, and then with the nuts, you can do pecans or walnuts. Trying to think what other type of nuts there are. I wonder, I've got some hazelnuts. I've got to figure out something else to make with my hazelnuts. I made some of my my own homemade Ferrero Rochers. Those little balls that come in the gold foil. That was really good. Those turned out good. Ah! All right, and then we've got those pecans. So that you add a little salt in here to the sweetness of the chips. Got everything else in here. It's trying to hard to see. All right, where do I have chip or nuts? Where do I need some nuts? Okay, and then the coconut. Supposed to be about a cup-ish of coconut. I also saw the other person use like 7 ounces. Like he likes a lot of coconut, but you know what? I think I've got like a quarter of the bag left. I'm gonna let that go. That is fairly covered. Everything is all nice and even. And then we are going to put that magic ingredient on the sweetened condensed milk. And make sure that you get the sweetened condensed milk, not evaporated milk. Hopefully this will pour nicely. We'll try to pour it in one nice even layer. Otherwise we might need to get a knife to help scoop it out. I've seen that too, where somebody else had a little bit of trouble. It wasn't really coming out. This is kind of what's going to help stick it and bind it all together. So you want to try to get that in a nice even layer also. I know sometimes some of these cans, what else did I have? Like a coconut milk or whatever, that if you put a little, oh I know, like cranberries. If you poke a little hole in the backside, then stuff comes out a little bit easier. Gets that airtight suction in there all kind of broke loose. I wonder if you probably could like heat this up in like a pan of water, a little bit warmer, maybe that would come out easier. But the other thing I was saying too, yeah, make sure it's sweetened condensed milk. There's also something called evaporated milk. You don't want that. I know there was one time that I was making a recipe, I don't know, years and years ago. And there too, Wayne had to run out to the store for something or whatever. For some reason he did grocery shopping at that point. And I had on the list to get some evaporated milk and or the sweetened condensed milk, and he got evaporated milk, and he's like, wasn't it the same? I'm like, no, it's not the same. Need the other. So Gotta get the right ingredients for that. The other stuff you can, you know, have the different options. But for this part, you need the sweetened condensed milk. Now as this bakes and all that too, this milk should all kind of blend down and get into the bars. Get down to even that graham cracker crust. So hold this all together. Still feel like there's a whole lot in here. So let's help it along. Have all your surfaces covered. Try to help it along a little. Good enough. We will bake it first, and then when we're finished, we can sprinkle a couple extra chocolate chips on top if we want, and then add a little bit of that sea salt just to give it another little hint of that saltiness. So first, bake this in your oven, that 350 degree oven, for 30 minutes. Oven is beeping. Dun dun, time is up. Smells good. Oh, yeah, that looks good. Looks a little coconutty and a little bit browned on top. Looking delicious. The edges look nice and done. So while it is still warm, turn that off. Let's see, it's too warm. We will sprinkle a couple extra chocolate chips on top, so they should just get a little bit melty, but not hopefully melt completely. And then we'll also just sprinkle a little bit of salt on. And we are going to let these cool for 2 hours. So you can either do that just on the countertop and let it be at room temperature, or you can put them in the refrigerator or freezer. Again, they're already really hot though, so you have to let them cool a little bit before doing that, or it'll affect everything else you have in your fridge. But yeah, the longer that they sit, the easier it'll be, the nicer it will look when you cut them into bars. So they'll look like nice bars and not just be kind of a pile of mush. So, I already did the dishes while these are cooking. Well, I'm gonna go have breakfast now. I got up and started going today, so yay me. And see you back in 2 hours. It has been about 3.5 hours. I ran some errands and it took longer than expected. So the bars are very nice and cool. The pan isn't even, warm to the touch at all. I just left them on the counter to cool, because even if you put them in the refrigerator, when you take them out, you're supposed to kind of let them get to room temperature again to be able to cut them. Because again, with that sweetened condensed milk, it could be kind of difficult for cutting. So, excellent, there we go. Lifts right out. So it did have a little bit of leakage. And then there's some moisture in the pan, so that will need to be cleaned. That's okay. It'll still be easier than if I hadn't had that in there. And this nicely comes right off. And you cut it up. These are a little bit of a richer bar, so smaller pieces are usually better. You can always, eat more. But instead of having a really big bar. Those chocolate chips on top are a little soft. Hear how it's crunching. It's crispy, but it's a nice solid cut. It's not like moist and I'm just going to be breaking apart. Although I have chocolate chips sticking to my knife. Let's see if I can do it this way. My cutting board only likes to be stiff on the on the counter one way. When I'm going the one way, then it doesn't slide, but when I put it this other way, then it kind of slides a little bit. So good. They're cutting easier than I expected them to. I thought about putting them in the refrigerator and I thought it's going to make them very hard. This is nice. So then they can be stored on the countertop. So that way if you eat them quickly. Otherwise you can also put them in the freezer and store them that way for I think up to 3 weeks. Ooh. Delicious. The Hello Dolly bars / magic bars are all finished. They are nice and soft. I did, like I said, when I was cutting them up, they cut very nicely. They cut fairly crisply, yeah, so that I have nice bars. The edges aren't all mushy or anything. The chocolate didn't drag. It's good. Chocolate on top is still a little soft. So obviously if you put those in the refrigerator, that will harden up for a little bit. But other than that, they look good. They look tasty. Let's try them. Okay. A little sloppy. I shall see it on the floor. Not bad though. The graham cracker crust is not like falling apart. Not falling apart in my hands. A few little crumbs in my other hand for catching the crumbs. Very tasty, very crunchy as I bit into it. But very soft. Very tasty. I taste the saltiness. It tastes sweet, but there's that, you know, hint of saltiness in there. So, yeah, smaller bars would be good. What did I cut this into? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4. So 20 bars. Sounds about right. Normally I would cut stuff maybe a little bit bigger, but this is a good size. So this will be a good dessert. Yeah. Like I said, I think I've made these before, either when I was a teenager or while I was living here. So I've had that memory of like that. As far as the Hello Dolly name, I have not heard them called Hello Dolly bars. When I was looking up 7-layer bars, you know, 7-layer bars or magic bars, it came up as also as Hello Dolly. I'm like, oh, well, I think of Hello Dolly. Again, the show was on Broadway, but I saw the like musical adaptation with I think Barbra Streisand. So I like that. I like musicals. So I like this. 2 thumbs up from me. Let me know in the description below if you guys have made these bars before, if you've heard them, what do you call them? And have you heard of the musical? Have you watched the movie? Seen the play on Broadway? I'm sure it still would be going around. I know we have a theater around here, the Fireside Theater. They do all different shows throughout the year. I'm trying to think how many. But yeah, they'll do a couple shows a year and stuff so that we get the flyers and everything. We've seen a couple shows there. And so it's older time shows and things like that that would be going around. So yeah, Let me know if you've seen the musical in the theater or if you've seen the movie. I will leave the recipe down below. I am going to finish enjoying my snack. You guys, keep it positive. Go make it a great day. Bye-bye.